The alarm rang before sunrise, slicing through the quiet of a small apartment that carried immense dreams. He sat up slowly, eyes lingering on the ceiling, reminding himself why today mattered. This job wasn't just work. It was validation of years spent studying, sacrificing, and persevering. Dressing carefully, he straightened his collar and whispered a promise to himself. Today, I'll give them no reason to doubt me. Stepping into the office, he felt the invisible weight again. The looks too long, the smiles too shallow, the conversations that paused. No words were spoken, but meaning filled every glance and gesture. By lunch, his ideas were ignored, only to be praised when echoed by someone else, leaving him silently frustrated. He remembered a time when effort seemed enough, when talent erased bias, before he learned the hard rules of survival. Growing up, he was taught to keep his head down, stay polite, and never appear difficult. That advice carried him through school, interviews, and finally through the doors of this coveted company. Landing the job felt like winning a lifelong battle, a quiet triumph celebrated by cautious parents. On his first day, he memorized names, volunteered for tasks, and stayed late, hoping to belong. But patterns emerged, successes overlooked, mistakes remembered, feedback sharp and personal. Confidence was labeled aggressive, silence was disengagement. Every choice seemed wrong. At first, he questioned himself, wondering if corporate life simply worked this way. Then came moments impossible to ignore, mistaken identity, questions about his origin, whispers about being a diversity hire. Individually, each slight could be dismissed, but collectively, they formed a painful truth. Racism here was subtle, hidden behind polite faces and professional language. It lived in withheld eye contact, redirected opportunities, and assumptions unchallenged. Calling it out seemed dangerous. Bills, family, and reputation made endurance the safer path. Each humiliation stacked quietly, unnoticed by perpetrators but remembered by him. He adapted, doubling efforts for half the recognition, smiling through disrespect, swallowing frustration in meetings. Nights were spent replaying conversations, wondering what he could have done differently. Sometimes he sat in his car debating whether to leave forever. Yet memories of closed doors reminded him why persistence mattered. Walking away felt like surrendering victories already won. With each ignored email and unfair remark, he grew sharper, more aware of the patterns others overlooked. They mistook his silence for weakness and professionalism for submission. Every small slight built toward a moment of reckoning. Missteps by others were laughed off, but his were documented. Feedback contained veiled words like attitude, fit, and tone, cutting deeper than any overt insult. Attempts to defend his work were seen as aggression. Staying quiet was disengagement. Meanwhile, small comments about origin, jokes thinly veiled, and reluctant compliments chipped at confidence. He began to doubt himself, replaying moments at home to see if he had imagined them. Deep down, he knew the truth. The treatment was systematic, not random. The breaking point came quietly, when a project he had labored over was reassigned without explanation. His contributions disappeared from presentations, only to be praised when someone else presented them. That night, clarity replaced anger. He began documenting everything. Emails, timelines, comparisons patterns became evidence. The system's bias was being recorded, its trail unbroken. He realized silence protected the perpetrators, but meticulous records exposed the truth. Professionalism paired with patience had given him leverage no outburst could. Attempts to address management were met with polite dismissal. Meetings yielded empty assurances, and the atmosphere grew colder. Coworkers became distant, invitations vanished, but he remained steadfast. Timing mattered. Speaking too soon could bury him, but the right moment could force accountability. The workplace underestimated his patience and awareness, mistaking quiet endurance for passivity. As the pattern solidified, he recognized that carelessness created proof. Every unfair act, meticulously recorded, was now his strength. Opportunity came with a company-wide review and external oversight. Suddenly, transparency mattered and documentation was demanded. He submitted every email, timeline, and record, presenting facts without accusation. Evidence replaced perception. Clarity replaced doubt. Investigators asked questions and tension rippled through the office. Conversations paused when he entered, fear replacing previous comfort, excuses faltered. Biases became visible. When results were announced, the room's energy shifted. Leadership addressed violations, accountability was enforced, and bias was recognized. Apologies sounded late and forced, but they were unavoidable. He listened quietly, knowing victory was not in applause, but in recognition of truth. The power balance had shifted, not because of anger, but due to steadfast evidence. Professionalism and patience had demanded acknowledgment. Silence had been dismantled by clarity. His endurance became emblematic, spreading beyond the office walls. Some learned, others felt exposed. He moved forward with dignity. Racism, thriving in silence, crumbled under documentation. The outcome was not dramatic revenge, but deserved accountability. Patterns proved systemic, patience proved powerful, and professionalism proved that truth prevails. Witnessing the aftermath confirmed the importance of observation, record-keeping, and quiet strength. The story highlighted what occurs when prejudice masquerades as professionalism. For years, he carried the burden alone, believing survival meant endurance. Racism, subtle and hidden, forced self-doubt, masking injustice as protocol. Policies, smiles, and carefully chosen words can conceal harm. Awareness and truth became weapons against systemic inequity. He emerged respected, finally validated without self-compromise. Silence, once oppressive, was now powerless against accountability. Justice came quietly, not loudly, yet its impact was profound. Recognition arrived without fanfare, but it was undeniable. People who once ignored him were forced to confront their complicity. The atmosphere shifted. Authority and influence were recalibrated. Accountability was final, measured, and deserved. No dramatic confrontation was needed, truth had spoken. The office, once indifferent, had no choice but to acknowledge wrongdoing. Endurance shaped his legacy, not vengeance. Dignity and patience became lessons for all who observed. His story emphasized that resilience paired with evidence can dismantle prejudice. Silence had been replaced by recorded clarity, proving perception wrong. Truth, quietly and methodically presented, outweighed all assumptions. Systems that rely on invisibility of bias cannot withstand documentation. Power shifted without aggression, but with undeniable certainty. This story is universal, occurring in offices, schools, and institutions daily. People judged before being heard, doubted before known, dismissed before understood. Endurance and patience became tools for justice. Recognition need not be public to be meaningful. Awareness and careful observation are vital for challenging systemic bias. Silence protects injustice. Truth exposes it. Courage, methodically applied, redefines outcomes. He left the chapter of his life with clarity, not bitterness. Validation was internal, rooted in dignity, patience, and professionalism. Respect and acknowledgment were earned through endurance and documentation. He demonstrated that systems can be challenged without aggression. Observed patterns, meticulous record-keeping, and calm persistence changed perception. Professionalism did not require surrender, and patience was not weakness. Finally, he was seen, heard, and recognized, proving quiet strength prevails.